So over the past 6 or 7 months, I've gotten to play somewhere around 75 hours of Marathon. That's across 3 different builds, but I've played a ton of this game. And in this video, I want to talk about things I love about it. I'm going to talk about things that I'm not really that hot about, and I hope that they change or improve. And then I want to try to answer some questions that I saw a lot on Twitter or in chat. I'm recording this well before the showcase, so I'm not really sure what exactly they're going to go over, so I apologize for any redundant information. But I do just want to clarify something real quick. I have been flown out to Bungie and paid a couple of times to play this game. Now, the objective of that was not to have us tell them, oh, you're making the best game ever or anything like that. It is so we, and like me and other creators, can provide brutally honest feedback about the game. They were much more interested in what we didn't like versus what we did like. And I can confidently say over the 3 builds that I've played of this game, it has gotten significantly better. And talking to people like Lupo and Hidden Xperia, who have been playing it for years, it's the same for them on a much larger scale. Bungie is taking feedback for this game incredibly to heart, and they're taking it very seriously. So if I say anything about the game here that maybe you're not a fan of, let them know on Twitter or on Discord. If enough people say something or say that they want a feature added, it's very likely that they'll address it in some way. I've seen it literally in real time as I've been playing over the last couple of months. So if you're excited for Marathon, make sure to subscribe, but let's get into it. There are a ton of things I love about this game. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's an extraction shooter. It's very high stakes. You need to be on your toes at every point in the game. That being said, I get distracted a lot while playing it. I'll be running across a field or in the middle of a marsh or through some trees, and there have literally been times where I'm in the open and I'm just like looking at the skybox. It is a beautiful game, and hopefully you've seen that by now in the gameplay that they showed, in some of the trailers and in the footage I'm showing on stream. It is an absolutely gorgeous game. The lore of the Marathon universe, it's very dark, it's very gritty, it's very good. All of the different factions, they play a huge role in the game. It seems like this is going to be a very narratively driven game. And that means that even if you're not the biggest PvP player ever, I think there's something for you here. I think there is genuinely an amazing world to uncover and discover here. You don't necessarily need to know the old Marathon lore. The people in game don't know the lore of the original Marathon. A lot of these first few seasons are probably going to be us like uncovering what happened between Marathon 1 from 1994 and Marathon 2025. That's going to be a huge part of the narrative. I'm certain of it. And it's going to be a very fun ride to put together. And that plays into a lot of things in the game. There are a lot of secrets and stuff that I'll talk about a little later that I think are the secret sauce that really set this game apart from things like Tarkov. Let's talk about the gameplay first, though. It is an extraction shooter. Teams of 3. Maps have different numbers of teams on them. Usually it ranges between like 4 and 6, I think, depending on the map. But it is like primarily a PvP game. And if your entire team dies, you do lose everything that's on your characters. The PvE enemies at this point are mostly just like robots for the UESC, and they are brutal. They are very aggressive. They will mess you up very fast. I died to them quite a few times the first time I played Marathon. They will absolutely destroy you. It's a hard game, I'm not gonna lie, but it is a beautiful game, and the gameplay feels so good. It's got that classic Bungie gun feel, especially things like the snipers and the SMGs, just so good. You'll see me in almost all the gameplay using a sniper called the Long Shot, which is amazing. It's up there with the best feeling Destiny sniper rifles easily, and an SMG called the Bully. That is my favorite gun across everything that I've used. I think I've used every single gun. That is easily my favorite combo. Long range, short range, it feels great. The abilities are really good. I'm gonna make a separate video on like the 6 runners. I'll talk about them here, but I'll really break them down in depth in that other video, which I'll also have linked down in the pinned comment down below. But there are 6 runners, and I kind of think about them kind of like Black Ops 3 specialists, where Gameplay across all of the runners is pretty much the same. You can use any guns you want. Most of the mods and implants, which are kind of like the things that modify your skills and abilities and stats and stuff, they're universal. There's a couple that aren't, especially as you get higher up in the loot rarity. But for the most part, like 85% of your gameplay is going to be pretty similar across all of your runners. They do all have like a super or like a prime ability. They all have like a secondary ability, and then they all have 2 passive abilities. So they can shape the game quite a bit, especially in terms of like movement. But for the most part, I wouldn't worry about this being like an Overwatch style hero shooter or anything like that. The game just feels like Marathon, regardless of what character you are on. I will say the movement probably a bit slower than I would like. I kind of think about this much like being much closer to like Halo movement with sliding. It's not as fast as Destiny. It's definitely not as fast as something like Apex. Significantly slower. I think it could be boosted up. That's been a lot of my feedback that I've given every time I've played. You do have like an overheat bar, so you can only do so much sprinting or so much sliding or depending on your character, so much advanced movement. I think that needs to be like tuned back a little bit and give players should be allowed to be faster. I've been told that there are upgrades, like as you go through the game, there's an upgrade system that you upgrade like your account, not your characters or anything. And it doesn't matter if you die or not. They're permanent upgrades to your account for the season. But when you unlock them, it does things like increase your heat capacity or like your stamina bar. It makes you faster. It gives you more health. It increases your revive speed. We played with a little of those things, but I've never been able to really play enough to upgrade it all the way. But I think at base the game could be a little faster personally. But overall, I think the gunplay feels great. The characters feel great. The looting loop is very fun. It's very Destiny-like where, there's gray weapons, green, blue, purple, and then gold is like the best of the best. They don't have fancy names, I don't think, like in Destiny. They're just kind of called their colors. I think. I haven't noticed otherwise. But the interesting thing is like your guns. It's not like you find a purple gun. You can, but really what dictates the rarity of your gun is putting like those color attachments on it. So you can start with the gray gun and put green attachments on it. And there are 4 attachments for every gun. There's a sight, a magazine, a barrel, and a mod, I think. And they all pretty much do what you would expect them to do. Mods sometimes like alter things about the gun. And so you can start with a gray gun and you can put green attachments on it. And then it'll upgrade to green at some point. And then you can put blue and purple attachments and you can really progress your gun. Much, much different than Destiny. Backpacks increase, the amount of loot you can carry. Those go all the way up to gold. Implants, cores. So implants are more like, reduce fall damage and like character specific stuff. Cores are base modifications to gameplay. Your pings last a little longer. Or if someone downs you, they get pinged. That sort of stuff. So you have 5 slots to really upgrade your character. Most of them are character agnostic though. And it just feels really good. The looting loop is great. You can loot different POIs. They all give you different stuff. So field maintenance, for instance, gives you a ton of weapons. You can go to the far right side of Marsh and go to Complex. It gives you a ton of shields. There are certain locations that give you character upgrades. There are certain mini events in the game that give you weapon attachments, that sort of thing. I'm going to have another video coming out very soon about the looting structure, going more into that, because I know that's something very specifically people are interested in. So I'll kind of leave it there for now. There is a lot of build crafting though, and it's really exciting to a level of like you can really if you want to spec into a knife character, you absolutely can do that. You want to spec into grenades, you can probably do that. It's pretty insane. So it's very fun. The game is brutal. It's very hard, but you can be very powerful very easily. Shadow agrees with that, I guess. Now, the last thing I want to talk about that I really like before we get into things that I'm not so hot about in this game. It seems like there are going to be a lot of secrets. Now, I don't want to say too much. A, because I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say. And B, because I think this is going to be something that's going to be very exciting for the community to discover. And actually for C, I don't know if I said 2 reasons or not, but for the 3rd reason is because I actually haven't seen that much of it. But the Marathon ship map, I think is going to be very exciting. I hesitate to call it raid-like in terms of Destiny, but it is definitely like you are trying to solve puzzles and secrets and find out hidden lore and that sort of thing, maybe more on scale of like a dungeon, while you are in the midst of PvP. That sort of thing is going to be the secret sauce for this game. I think there are aspects of that on other maps as well, but it makes me so excited. All I want to do is go back to the ship and solve the secrets and fight the enemies and stuff. Hopefully you'll hear more about that very soon. I also think it seems like they're going to be kind of leaning into more like live event or dynamic map stuff as the season progresses, to lean into lore and that sort of thing. I'm so excited for this. It is a very mysterious, secretive world, and Bungie knows it. And the ARG stuff, I think that's just a taste of what we're going to be getting as the game progresses through seasons, especially like in game. And I'm very excited for that. So we shall see. Now, the things that I'm not feeling so hot about, or I didn't like, or I hope they change. There is no solo mode. And for those of you asking, there's no PvE only mode. I don't think they're going to budge on the PvE only mode. Like, they very much want this to be a PvP game. It makes sense. Like, does Bungie really want 2 PvE focused live games? Like, no, clearly not. I do think, however, there should be a solo mode. In one of my playtests, we did a solos night where me and a bunch of creators and some devs, we all loaded in solo, and it was chaos. Now, there are like balancing issues with this they've talked about. Everyone was on Void, which is like the character that can go invisible, of course, if you're solo, because you can't screw up or else you're done. The enemies aren't really balanced for solo play. The loot isn't really balanced for solo play. That being said, I hope they work on it. And I think if there's enough pushback, they will. It is awesome. A lot of the people I've talked to, creators and devs, absolutely love playing solo. It's just not currently in this build of this game. There's no proximity chat. We were very vocal about this. It was pretty much in the last feedback session I left. It was the number one thing that all the creators were like, you need to add proximity chat. I think there's some legal issues there, but other games have gotten it to work. And I think it's something that Bungie absolutely needs to get to work, whatever the reason is. And I think with enough pushback, they will absolutely get that to work. So provide that feedback that you want proximity chat. Currently, there's quite a low diversity in enemies. Mostly they are USEC robots, and there's a couple like ticks and stuff like bug creatures. I think that's going to change as we progress through the seasons and as we start to figure out what happened during the original marathon games, and we get to hopefully fight things like the 4. But currently, all the AI are pretty much the same. There's diversity in USEC. There's snipers and there's chieftains or what have you. Like, there are definitely more powerful and less powerful ones, and there's guys with shields and that sort of thing. But I would, in a world that has the lore of Marathon, I really hope that they continue to expand, and I think they will. But it's just something I want to hit on here. And once again, I think it could be a bit faster at baseline. So those are my main cons. A lot of people are asking about microtransactions. I really don't know. I know there will be cosmetics in the game. A lot of the factions have cosmetics tied to their quest line. So one of the main things you do in this game is like you go to a menu, you activate like a bounty or a contract with certain factions. So, there's Mida, there's USEC, there's Traxxas, there's Arachne, there's New Caloric, and you pick like what you want to do. Go to this specific map, do this specific thing for this faction, level up rep, get some rewards. As you level up your factions, you get higher upgrades that you can unlock for your character, the things we were talking about earlier, but you also get huge lore dumps, and they are very good. We got to see some of them. They are very well done, and they're still in kind of the alpha first take phase. So they're only going to get better. The lore of this universe is insane. I cannot harp on that enough. So overall, it's a tough game. I think it'll be an adjustment for people, and not everyone's going to like it. Just like hands down. Not everyone's going to like it. I would say if you like PvP at all, I would give it a chance, because even if you die a lot, you can still make a lot of progression in the game through like the upgrade system and the contract system and learning the lore and helping solve the secrets and that sort of thing. It is brutal. It is very hard. It's going to be a learning curve for a lot of people, including me. I've never played an extraction shooter previous to this, but I thoroughly enjoyed my time. I genuinely cannot wait to get back into Tau Ceti and play more. But I hope you enjoyed this review. It was a lot of fun to put together. I'm gonna go work on some other videos. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comment section, and I'll try to answer those. But I can't wait for people to get their hands on this game, because I genuinely think there's a lot of potential here. So let me know your thoughts down below, and have a great day.